Now is Janet Gellici from the National Coal Council, a U.S. federal advisory group. Janet, thanks for being with us. Sure. Coal consumption is dropping in the United States. Why are there less people using coal right now?
There's a number of reasons, primarily driven by regulations, for one. Natural gas competition is another. We're also seeing a lot less demand in electricity generation as a result of some of the energy efficiency measures that have been taking place. So those are working. So we're seeing a lot of the demand for electricity has been dropping. Economic conditions have been down somewhat, again, since 2008. So there's a lot less need for electricity. We're also seeing a lot of the manufacturing industries that are still operating offshore. So we've seen a decrease in the manufacturing sector and a lot more efficiency in the manufacturing sector as well. So a lot of those factors are contributing to a decrease in demand for electricity and especially for coal-fired generation.
Right, despite those concerns that we've been reporting on about greenhouse gas emissions and pollution, etc., let's talk a little bit about the benefits of coal energy.
Absolutely. Obviously, some of the economic benefits will come to mind first. So coal is one of the least expensive sources of electric power generation. It's been a consistently low source of electricity, low-cost source of electricity going forward. It's also expected. We have the Energy Information Administration is projecting coal will only be increasing 1% a year through 2040. We compare that to natural gas, which is looking at an over 3% increase in costs for electric power generation going forward. So certainly the economic benefits associated with coal. Coal is an abundant resource. We have a significant amount of coal here in the United States, so it's a very secure domestic resource for us to be using here to power. And it's not just electric power generation. Globally, we're looking at 70% of the world's steel production is dependent on coal. So we've got industrial needs for it as well as electric power.
And what about the drawbacks of using coal? I mean, we've talked about the fact that it is one of the dirtiest energy sources. It releases a lot of carbon into the atmosphere. It's a cause of temperatures rising. What have your own studies found on this?
Sure. We've done a number of studies for the Secretary of Energy. We're a federal advisory group to him, and we've looked at the environmental impacts. We've had significant success in reducing SO2 and NOx and particulate matter over the year. A lot of those have dropped about 90% since the Clean Air Act amendments of 1990, so we've seen a significant fall off in those. Our next task is to address CO2 emissions, greenhouse gas emissions. A lot of that can be handled through a couple of methods. I think primarily, at least to start, through efficiency improvements. We're operating our power plants now at about 33% efficiency. There are opportunities for us to build cleaner power plants. That's being done in China, for example. We can bring that efficiency rate from 33% up to 40%. And if we can do that on a global basis, we can knock out about 2 gigatons of CO2 emissions. And that's currently what India is emitting on an annual basis right now. So in order to do that, we're going to need to take the time to develop carbon capture and sequestration technologies. Those are under development. It's going to take a few years for us, obviously, to get those types of technologies into a commercial stage. We've got a number of demonstration plants here in the United States, and certainly look forward to working with China under the new agreements here that we've got going to forward those technology developments.
Right, those proposals that you're talking about, is that what we know as clean coal energy?
Again, I think that term is much maligned at times. I think some people use it in the wrong way. I think what we need to be talking about is efficient, cleaner energy sources, and certainly the opportunity there exists for coal to continue to improve its environmental record. Again, we have a good record going in. We've demonstrated that we're able to reduce some of the criterion pollutants. SO2, for example, I would point out that it's taken us 3 decades to get to the point where we are. It takes that long on a technology development cycle to actually get to where these technologies are commercially available. So getting carbon capture and storage CCS technologies in place, not going to happen overnight, but you know, in a typical cycle, we're well on our way to developing those. We've got some demonstration projects, and the next step is to take it into a commercial to commercialize the technologies that we do have. So, you know, there's been a number of assessments that have been undertaken that demonstrate without that CCS technology, we're not going to be able to get to our CO2 emissions objectives. The International Energy Association, or agency, excuse me, has been leading the assessment of this, and really there's going to be a significant increase in cost if we're not able to bring these technologies on, and we won't be able to get to those objectives without that technology.
Right now we are seeing coal imports surging in the United States. What does that tell us about sources of energy and supply and demand?
Global markets are booming. We've seen a 60% increase since the year 2000 in coal usage globally, and going forward, I think we're going to continue to see that kind of growth globally. There's 1.2 billion people in the world now who don't have access to electricity. There's nearly 3 billion people that don't have access to cooking facilities that are clean, so they're still using dung and wood. And if we can get them clean electric power, we're going to be lifting those people out of poverty, and that's an important fact. That's something that's been happening in China, for example. So going forward, I think we're still looking at least a 5% increase in Southeast Asia area for coal usage to increase. So that certainly provides opportunities for U.S. coal suppliers as well as other international suppliers to meet that demand.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.